Welcome to our training today and the book launch. I just want to be sure that we are live. I think I can see someone is watching already. Two people. I just want to make sure it's truly live on LinkedIn. And yes, we are. Fantastic. Cool. All right. Welcome to our training and book launch. It's an interesting combination. And I know some of you have been asking, what is it all about combining training and a book launch? Because for those who have been a part of my book launching in book launches in the past, which we've done four book launches, they know it's usually a standalone event on its own. But this time I decided to combine it. I'll tell you here in a second. But first off, thank you so much for joining me for this session. It's going to be about an hour 15. It might be less. I'm not sure, but it's not going to be longer than that. We have it scheduled for an hour and a half, but it's not going to be that long. My name is Isaac Wambua. I live in Kansas City, and I run a company called Dynamo Methods. That's one of the companies I run, and then I'm a partner in a different company. But for the sake of this training, my focus is going to be on leadership, management, and leadership. So I write two kinds of books. I write business systems books and leadership systems books. But today we are going to talk about leadership. So let me know where you are watching from. If you want to put that in the comments, I think I'll be able to see. Give me a second here. I can see the comments as they come through. If you're watching, please let me know. You can hear me. I got a notification that there was a glitch on Facebook, but LinkedIn seems to be working fine. Actually, one of the Facebooks is working fine, but looks like one of the pages glitched a little bit. But either way, it looks like we are good to go. So when it comes to leadership, there are different philosophies out there, different approaches. In my books, and my philosophy about leadership is all about finding a way to collaborate with the people that you either lead or your colleagues that you work in the same company or the same organization, and finding a way to move forward to get specific results. So it's unifying yourselves around the mission and behind the mission and keep moving. Now, if you've been exposed to some of the materials and teachings by one of my mentors, John Maxwell, he says that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And there's a book actually he wrote, one of the classic books, is called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And it just talks about that. Law number 2 is called the law of influence, and it says leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And it's in line with what we are talking about. If you can find a way to influence people by using your words and communication and authenticity, and getting them to see where you are coming from and where you are going, especially as a leader, and then not really convince them, but get them to rally behind that mission and keep moving together, then you can claim to be a successful leader. I'm going to answer a few questions here that people have been asking me. I published a book last year. It's called let me see here. And I'm going to share with you other books that I published. But the one I did in June last year, I usually, whenever I write a book and I'm done with the manuscript, I send out to some specific people that I know and I trust so they can give me feedback, but also sometimes endorse the book. And one of my friends I sent to, he said, dude, you need to slow down so I can finish the previous book that you published. Because last year I published 2 books. Now, that's not a record. I know people that publish 3, 4, 5 books. Actually, I have a friend of mine who published 8 books in 1 year. She is a driver. Her name is Anne. But when I was talking to this friend of mine, I said, with time, it's come to my realization that it's not just about writing books, especially for me. The first book, when I wrote it, yes, I wanted to become an author. I wanted to share some ideas. I wanted to help managers and leaders. But as I move along in my journey in writing books and speaking and sharing the message and getting to listen to people's stories and getting to listen to their worries and what they are going after and what they're struggling with, it stopped being about me. And it should never have been about me in the first place. I wish I knew that. I really don't care about the titles being called an author, best-selling author, which we've been fortunate enough to get all our books to the best-selling ranks on Amazon. But that's not the point. The point is the message clear enough to help people? Is it even good enough to help people? Are you coming from a good place? So that's where I'm at right now. And that's why I keep on writing the books, and I have some on the pipeline, and I'll share with you here in a second. So even though today the discussion is about leadership and also the book that I'm launching, it's more of an update of where we are at. I've been in business for 11 years now, 11 and a half years. I've been in Kansas City for a long time. I have a lot of friends in the business circles, entrepreneur circle, leadership circle. Some of my clients have become my friends. I have a team, and this is kind of weird in a way that it's more of an update of where we are at, for you to have an idea of where I'm moving to and what that means for you. Obviously, if there's anything I can do for you as either as a client or as a friend or as a professional, feel free to reach out. I'll tell you a quick story. Today, being the 13th of January, we started out at a business breakfast, and I had got my 5 minutes to speak about what I do, and then I did some book signing, and it was amazing. Really, I was surprised, and not really surprised, but I was impressed by the response that I got from all these people. So that was amazing. Then I had another event at 11:30 a.m. For a local chamber here, one of the largest chambers here in Kansas City. And there I think we had over 15 business owners there, and I got to talk. And when I was done, a lady walked up to me and she said, "You and I have met before. You came to one of our chamber meetings. That was more than 3 years ago. You sat next to me. We got to have a conversation. And it's interesting how I remembered her name. Her name is Raquel. And so, yes, we got to talk about what's going on. She doesn't work for the same company. She needs help with something else. And she and I, we're going to get together for coffee and get to talk." And as I was talking to her, another lady called Cindy walked up to me and said, "My grandson is working with a bank, but he wants to get into real estate. He is not sure what he needs to do. He needs a little bit of guidance. He's a little introverted, a little shy. Do you think you can help him?" I said, "Yep. Connect him with me. We can talk." And I can tell you a story after story from just that one small group. The point is, the work we get to do every single day, yes, we get paid to do that, but it's not always about the money. Money is good, but it's not always about that. You get to make a difference. You get to hear people's stories. So even as I share with you where I'm at, where I'm going, what I'm thinking, what I'm processing, my outlook on where the world is today in 2026 and what you should prepare for, especially as a leader, just take it at face value. It's not about me. It's about really what I see and what I'm learning and what I'm observing, so that potentially it's going to be helpful to you. So let me take you back. My background, some of you know that I used to be an industrial engineer, and I worked in different industries as well. I ran restaurants, I did sales, I did newspaper delivery. I mean, name it. Tried to make some extra cash, and finally I landed into an engineering position. And through the years that I did this, it was all about improving efficiency, productivity, helping the company to continue growing in revenue wise and minimizing the cost, and basically taking care of the profits. And that was really good. And I saw opportunities in some of the companies I worked for. And I remember I went to one of my bosses and I said, "Hey, I have some ideas on how we can improve our efficiency so we don't have to talk about the same stuff every single Monday. You need to do better," which is a very vague statement anyway. And I don't think any leader should ever say that. It needs to be specific. What do you mean by you need to do better? But it was more like a whining session for a whole hour, sometimes an hour and a half. And you could see people really struggling being there, but they would sit there because they want to act as if they care about the message. So I had a few ideas on how to run our meetings, how to attract and retain good employees, how to train them, all the things that contributed towards the bottom line. And that person told me, "No, we're not going to do that. You just do your job." Now, it was a big conglomerate. He was a district manager, so I didn't push it. So I left that company, went to a different one. I saw similar problems, and I suggested this one company kind of embraced it a little bit, but they didn't have the capacity to embrace the stuff we were working on. Basically, it was a collaboration between me and my boss. But again, he didn't have much power. So the regional director didn't care much. The president, I don't think he even got the message on the things we were trying. So that didn't work. So I asked myself, what if I was to find a way to help people without any limits? So I talked to one of my coaches, basically my coach at that time. His name is Mike. He was coaching me on how to speak, how to communicate clearly. And he was an engineer, a former engineer like me. And he said, Isaac, you have a unique perspective. You have a unique quality in terms of you're technical oriented. You can create solutions and build systems, but you also know how to communicate well and you can connect with people. And he said, I think you should start a consulting company. Now, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't grow up in a business oriented family. Some of you know that I grew up in Kenya. Really, no one in my family had ever run a business. So I sat on it for a long time, way too long. So Mike and I think we had a conversation in 2011, 2012, and it wasn't until 2014 that I launched my consulting company. And the goal was just to consult with businesses, help them with that. Then a year later, I got certified as a trainer, as a speaker, as a coach. So I had programs to launch a training company. And fast forward to now 2020, decided to write my first book up to today. So all this to say, I got into it because I was uncomfortable, because there was discomfort of not being listened to, and also me being able to see a potential. And my bosses at that time, they didn't see it. So I was lucky enough to be able to step out and really make a decision to start a business, which is one of the best decisions I've ever made. So walking you back, it wasn't until I think it was 2018, 2019, I had an idea to write a book. I started asking around, and I'm a part of several business clubs. So I asked a few friends. I was connected to someone who supposedly was helping people write books, and actually he had. I made a mistake of not reading those books to see his style and maybe ask a few more questions. So based on what we call the social trust, he knew people that I knew and I trusted them. I hired this guy, paid him not much money, but I paid him $6,000 to help me write the books. We got into it, and 25% into the book, I knew this was not going to work, because I gave him several ideas, several potential titles for the books. And I was thinking of writing either a personal book or a business book. And he said, let's start with a business book. And I told him that I wanted to write a book for new managers. We started doing it, and the guy was just too academic. Come to find out, he was a university professor. Yes, he was a writer, but this guy had never written a book, had never authored a book. He had written books for other people, but he had never authored his own book. And here is the kicker. I'm not sure, but I've never met anyone who can coach you on how to cook if they have never cooked a day of their life. Or if they just coach other people, then don't have a kitchen. I mean, where is their lab? How do they experiment? I mean, someone cannot call themselves an inventor when they don't have a lab, or at least a place they go to tinker with things. So I made a mistake, and I had this guy. So I figured it wasn't going to work. So I dropped that project. We disagreed on almost everything, the way of looking at things, at the style. So I lost the money, lost the time, shelved the project. So that was 2018, 2019. And then it wasn't until 2021 that I was like, let me just pick up this project. And this time I was going to find people that are qualified to help me out. I found a coaching program where they taught us how to write a book, how to publish the book, how to profit from the book, how to get speaking engagements. I mean, the whole system on how to do that. And that's how I was able to write my very first book. That's called Now That I'm a Manager, What Do I Do Next? So this book, obviously, that's not the original cover. I just revised this book last month in December of 2025. But this is the book that got me into this. Now, the first one I wrote, even though I spent a lot of time on it, it wasn't that good. And what I've heard people say, specifically John Maxwell, that you never really get to be good the first time you do something. Now, I was proud of the book. My friends told me the book was amazing. And I don't think they lied, but they didn't know. So I read the book 6 months after I wrote it, and I was like, this book has to change. Now, I didn't revise the book until last year. So this new version of the book is 70 to 75% totally different from the first one. And the reason being, the world has changed. the way people look at things. So right now, because again, this book is for new or untrained managers. So more than ever before, even a manager and a leader on day one, they're expected to perform, deliver results. We are now in 2025, 26, we are in a results economy, which is show me the results. That's where we're at. The old school kind of aspect of show up and hang around for 8 hours and you get paid and basically getting paid for showing up, that doesn't fly anymore. Maybe it flies in your company, in mine it doesn't, and in any other people's companies out there. So I revised this book to give the new managers a tool that they can use. We have so many frameworks in there. So it's totally different from the first one. It's using a totally different language. So managers are expected to deliver results, but at the same time, they're expected to support their employees, which they should. Be there, take care of their mental health, listen to them, spend more time with them, pay attention, and you can only do that when you have a system. So this is the very first book I wrote, but now it's new and revised. And by the way, this is the book I'm launching today. It's again the revision of the book. The second book that I launched, that I wrote and launched in 2023 is this one, which is Take the Leap, Mastering the Transition from Employee to Manager. And this is mostly for emerging leaders who have a bigger team. They have been around for a long time. Potentially, they are being trusted to lead either bigger teams or cross over from one department to another, maybe be the liaison, maybe they are running some departmental meetings and something like that. Just the small but important tasks and responsibilities. So that's what this book is all about, is for those emerging leaders. And again, we were lucky enough to make this book a bestseller as well. The third book that I published is called From Chaos to Control. Now, I mentioned to you that we do, I'm not sure if I did, but in our company, Dynamo Methods, we do business consulting. We help companies, small and medium-sized companies, with their systems and processes to streamline all that, increase efficiency. So I decided to write a book on systems. The second part of the business is leadership development, which is we focus mostly on leadership systems. And I'll walk you through that here in a second. So this book, I wrote this book so again, mostly small businesses can have a recipe for running their businesses. And I just mentioned that the world is changing so fast. And that means you don't necessarily have to change with the world, because that will be exhausting, but you need to be ready for the change. And there are just a handful of things you got to have in place. Obviously, you got to have the right mindset. You need to be ready, but you need to have tools and processes and a system. And that's what this book is all about: how to future-proof your business through systems and automation. That's going to help you save time, save money. You can, especially with automations, you can run a business that potentially needs 10 people, but you only have 5 and you still be fine. There are several reasons for that. Of course, number one, you want to maximize on your profits, but also for some of the industries, it's not easy to find good employees. So why not do some kind of automation? And again, this book became a bestseller. Actually, this one, when we launched it last year in January of 2025, I had my friend David Jackson and Ryan Christopher and Marvin, who's a professor, and several other people join me in the launch. And so was the first one, by the way. When I launched, I had several friends as well. So thank you, my friends, for being a part of this launch. The fourth book that I published, and again, this is just part of an update of where we are at, is this one, Dynamo Business Blueprint: How to Build a Business That Runs, Grows, and Thrives Without You. And this book, without really being biased, is one of the best out there when it comes to systemizing your business. So it talks about the 7 systems you need to have in place, and that's marketing systems, sales, service delivery, operations, customer success system, financial management, and leadership and people. So every business out there needs to have those systems in place. Again, it's finding a predictable way of running your business and running your team. Now, system number 7, that's in this particular book, and it's covered. There's a good chunk of it that has been covered. It's called leadership and people. And this is where we get to connect the dots for those who get curious. Sometimes, a lot of times, really, there's a misguided kind of understanding and perception that business systems and leadership, they're different, and we try to segment those, and it's okay for those who focus on just software, or they focus on consulting, or they focus on just doing a leadership training where they're doing communication and management and all those segmented programs. So personally, what I found, because I want to make sure you get, so to say, a holistic service from us, was almost every single thing can be systemized. When you think about it, even your own body is systemized. You have your respiratory system. It helps you to breathe. You have, and I think that's your lungs. You have, which other system do we have in our body? You have your visual system. You get to see. You have your mental system. There's the emotional part of it. There's the skeletal system, basically, getting the joints and getting you to walk. So your body is comprised of different systems, and they got to work together. If there's a problem, that's when you get to feel pain, and you got to go to a doctor or a chiropractor to adjust you, or whatever that it is. Most likely you have a system on how you run your routines. If you're anything like me, if I wake up in the morning, I have a routine, and you don't have to follow my routine, but it works for me. It takes out the aspect of thinking, or for me to have to use extra mental resources. So I wake up, go downstairs, set up my coffee to brew. I go brush my teeth. I come back, get my coffee ready. I go to my small office at home, read my emails, maybe do a little bit of writing, and then my daughter is up, get to feed her breakfast, I take her to school, my son, and then my wife, and like it's very predictable pretty much every single day, unless I am traveling. So that's a system that I have. In my company, Dynamo Methods, we have systems on how we run our marketing and sales and operations and customer success, on how we embrace technology, how we get to decide which software we are going to use. So with a system, it's going to be helpful. So with this particular book, there's a system called Leadership and People. But again, leadership is so wide. And since we have a leadership training side of the business, I decided to grab that and expand it. So the next book that's coming out is called The Multiplier Leader. And that's the cover. The book is not out yet, but it's coming out in March, April. Right now, as we speak, the final cover is being done, is being designed, effective this morning. I have a few people that have the manuscript. Like I mentioned, I like to send out to a few people. Some people are looking at the manuscript and looking at it to give feedback or to endorse the manuscript or give a review. So that's the process. So the reason I'm telling you this is not to impress you. And like I said, I've only written 4 books. This is going to be the 5th one. And who knows, I might go to 10 if again, there are needs and challenges to be taken care of. I'll continue writing books, but there are people that have written 100+ books, 150+ books, way better books. But again, I am on a mission to help in professionals and business owners to continue building high-level businesses while enjoying their lives. Now, that's really the mission that I'm on. So how do these books get to connect to each other? So let's start with the first one, which is the now that I'm a manager, what do I do next? So the way we have things structured in leadership, and I believe you can embrace this as well, I think it's going to be helpful, is that there's the foundational level of leadership, and that's for new or untrained managers. And what we do is on that foundational level, we train them on how to own their position. And by the way, we have workshops and coaching programs and masterminds that take care of that. So the book is supplemental to those programs. The book is the theory and philosophy behind it, the masterminds, the workshops. That's where really the work gets done. So we have the foundational level where they get to own their position. They get to understand what decision rights do they have, what powers do they have, and it gets defined very clearly, makes it easy to do their job, so they don't have to worry about what's happening around them. In this case, is my boss going to be happy? Am I going to make the wrong decision? Basically, we are trying to minimize what we call escalating up, or the unnecessary stuff flowing up to the top management, not because they are not willing to help, but because it's unnecessary. If the manager can take care of that, a lot of things, including making decisions, then why not? So we get it very, very clear. We coach them on how to give feedback, how to resolve conflicts, how to run meetings, really the most basic things but powerful things that the managers are expected to do. So that's the foundational level. Then from there, we go to the next level, which is a consistency level. And that's where we have this book and several programs we have for emerging leaders, and basically at that level someone needs to collaborate with their colleagues, different department heads or different team leads, or someone who's running an office, and a team in the office and someone else running a crew out there in the field. It doesn't matter, so long as there's a crisscross and there's a communication that needs to happen. That's where this high level skill of consistency needs to be there. So we coach them on how to own their position, number one, how to communicate very, very clearly, how to persuade and how to negotiate, not in a bad way, but for on behalf of the company, how to represent their manager or their leader in meetings, so that sometimes they get sent to a conference to go represent the company. How do they make sure the image of the company is maintained? They get sent to conferences where they are going to learn something. How can they stay responsible and ethical so they don't waste companies' resources? They get sent out, if they are in sales, to go and pitch a project to a potential client. I mean, that requires a lot of ownership. Basically, we are teaching them on how to think and behave and act like the owner of the business or the senior leader in the business. So we have the foundational and we have the middle level, which is more about the consistency all across the board. And then we have the highest level, and on that level we do what we call establishing, installing, and implementing a leadership operating system on a very high level. Now, the system starts from the foundational level, where we have the foundational, we have the consistency, we have the highest level, but it doesn't really get to grow its legs until it gets to the top, because you and I know that if the top leader is not approving of what you're doing, or at least they're not with you, then there's going to be a problem. And that's why my very first manager that I proposed the changes that I felt we needed to make, he couldn't help much because his boss was not was not on board. So it helps to have the top leadership being able to help with that. Now, when it comes to the top level, where we are talking about the becoming a multiplier leader, which is basically this book over here, how great leaders multiply people, purpose, and impact. It's all about looking at what you've built over the years, the team that you built, the company that you built, the organization that you built, and asking yourself, if I step away today for a week or two, is everything going to run the way it should? Are there systems in place? And basically on that level, we are trying to separate personalities from the system to make sure we are not depending on one person because they have been there the longest, or they are the star, or they are the part of the A team, which that's a subject for another day. It's a made up thing. When you have a leadership system, everyone gets to do things the same way to bring consistency. There's a company here in Kansas City, really good sized company, that hired me. They have hired our company several times, but the first time we did a training for them in 2023, then we did one in 24, 25. In 2025, we did two different sets of coaching and trainings. And now actually I am coaching one of their executives as well. And one of the things they were going through was a senior leader who was about to step back. Actually, what I was told is that the leader led this company from lower 50 million a year to higher 100, I think it was like 120, 125 million a year within, I think it was 8 years. Now that's very, very substantial considering Kansas City is not that big. So he had a lot of leverage. He's a great leader, but he wanted to step back, and he did. And when he stepped back, performance went down. So there were so many people that were loyal to him. His style, his personality, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when he stepped away, there was a problem. So he had to come back and get to help the company again to stabilize. And this time he did it kind of right, trained the leaders, and they were able to take over his position. So those are some of the challenges we get to help companies to avoid. So you have a system in place in a way that if you step back, nothing is going to go down. Now, you don't have to retire tomorrow. You don't have to step away tomorrow. But when you have a system, it's good for the company. It stabilizes it. So it's a real operating system. Now, think about the computer you use, or even the phone you use. I like to use Apple products. So I have three iPhones. Now I have my personal, I have my work iPhone, and we have another one where we use for the family. And I have an iPad, and I have a MacBook, and I have an iMac. That's the one I'm using right now. Don't be impressed. I just like Apple products. But can you imagine if Apple somehow decided to either change the operating system or not maintain the operating system, the iOS? What would happen? There will be so many glitches. The performance is not going to be that good. So they have to stay on top of it. And that's why if you use Apple products, I don't know about Android, but I believe they do the same thing. You usually get notification. You need to update the software. And when you do that, it gets the gadget to get to work a little bit better. It's the same way. You need an operating system within your company. So if something goes wrong, you can back up and figure out what went wrong. If something is going on very well, you can identify what's going well, and you can continue pushing that, basically doubling down on all those things that are going well. By the way, I see tons of people are watching. Go ahead and put any comments. If you have any questions, put those in the comments, and I will be able to see them. And I believe the system is working. Yep, I can see the comments. So keep them coming. So basically that's the update for me and Dynamo Methods, what we've been working on. Basically we built all these programs, and we are out there working with the organizations. Let us know if there's a way we can help you. So let's talk about the launch. Now, today we are doing a soft launch for this book here. Again, it's a relaunch. And the reason I decided not to make it a big deal, as you can see, I'm the only one in the studio. Yes, I went to a breakfast today. I had tons of business friends. We did some book signing locally here, and then I went to speak somewhere, but here today is just me. The reason being, it's a relaunch of the book. You are familiar with the book. And again, since you are in my community, I'm just going to tell you, again, one of the reasons and the help I need from you. So this book is published on Amazon, and I would like to get some reviews so the book can continue ranking. Yes, it's done very well in the past, became a bestseller. This time I'm not really pushing for that, just a bestseller status. I would like to get several reviews so it can be ranked well. So if you can go to Amazon, find this book, Now That I'm a Manager, What Do I Do Next? My name is there, and you can buy the Kindle version, give me a review, or buy the paperback, give me a review. That'll be amazing. So again, I mentioned this morning in the breakfast that I was speaking at that I didn't want to make a big splash, because as my community, as my followers, as my friends, I'm going to be asking you for a favor here in about 2 months. I'll be launching this book, The Multiplier Leader. And this is a book I'm more excited about than any other book I've ever written. And I know that sounds cliche, because every author feels like this is their best book. But I can tell you this one, yes. It's a great book. I put a lot of work into it. I put work in the others as well, but this one, been working on it for a year and for close to 2 years now. And again, when you're writing a book for senior leaders, executives, business owners, really high level people, and what I mean by that is they have been exposed to so many books and so many materials. They have probably read way more books than I have, and they've been alive longer than I've ever been, than me. Then they need something that's really, really valuable, something that's going to deliver results, something that's going to make sense, maybe a different way of looking at things. And in this particular book, The Multiplier Leader, is all about really helping you on how to multiply your people, your purpose, your impact. And that's not a tagline, it's a real thing. When you go through the book, you'll be able to see all that. So here in about 2 months, I'll be reaching out to you, and so I can do this big launch. But today, I just wanted to do a very small a non-splash launch for this particular book. So that's what it is. It's a soft launch. You can go ahead and buy the book. I'll put the QR code on the screen. You know what? Before I do that, all the books that I get to write have workbooks that we haven't done a good job putting the workbooks out there. But now we are going to put them on Amazon, so people can, when they purchase the books, they can get the workbooks as well. So this is, let me see, that's the workbook for the book that we are soft launching today. Now That I'm a Manager, What Do I Do Next? And we have, I don't have it on a picture of the others as well, but those, you'll be able to find those on Amazon. So if you feel you can help me out to to rank this, to get this book ranked, just scan this QR code. It's going to take you to Amazon. You can buy the Kindle version. It's discounted for 99 cents during this launch week. So today it's a Tuesday. So we're going to have this app until Friday. And then after that, it's going to go back to $9.99, $9.99. That's the price for the Kindle, and $20 for the paperback. But even if you get the paperback, that would be great. Do me a favor and leave a review. I would really, really, really appreciate that. So, having said that, I am going to give away some books. Now, again, when you are kind of blessed enough to have several books, it gets a little bit harder to decide. When I did book signing this morning, I had several copies of this book, because again, I was preparing for this launch, and I had a few of the other books, and actually I ran out of the other copies, and there's someone that I just need to ship a book to them. So let me know which book you want. If you're based in Kansas City, most likely we'll be able to grab coffee, or you can pass by the office, or I can ship it to you. If you're outside of Kansas City, I can ship it to you. Or if you want to buy the book from Amazon, you can do that as well. But for now, if you put a comment there and you say, I want one, whether you're watching this live or on replay, if you say, I want, and tell me whichever book you want. If you go to Amazon, just tell me which one, then I'll find a way to get that book to you. So that's my gift to you for joining me for this conversation and the book launch. It doesn't really feel like a book launch. It's more like a conversation. Again, like I said, I didn't want to make a big splash on this particular launch. And we've been here for 37 minutes. So we didn't get to the hour, the full hour and a half, like I said. But this is good. Again, I believe it's going to be valuable for you to continue plugging in and getting trained on leadership. And yes, I believe I write good books, and we do great programs, but there's so many other experts out there that you can learn from. There are podcasts you can listen to. There are books you can read. Audio books as well, if you're a big fan of that. But I really appreciate your support. Thank you for being a part of my community. Thank you for all the support you give me. And this is really me, appealing to you, because it's been a big blessing. And I'm just going to mention one more thing that I shared with the team, or rather the group that I spoke to before I came to do this live stream. And I told them, when you are lucky enough and blessed enough to have, so to say, a platform and an opportunity to add value to people, and it puts a lot of pressure on you. In our case, we are working with the companies on the system side, and here I am working with the corporations on the leadership development, and I'm writing books. It puts a lot of pressure, and I believe I am my biggest critic, and so are you. Probably you don't know yet, but yes, you are. We get to judge ourselves too harshly. So whenever I put anything out there, it kind of freaks me out a little bit. It's asking, okay, is it going to make the difference that I'm hoping to make? Is it going to hit the mark? Is it going to meet the standard? So as we get to grow together, I really respect you as a leader. I respect you as a professional. Keep on sending that feedback. I'm a grown man and I'm a grown professional. If there's any feedback you can give me either about the books, our materials, what we do, if you're on our email list and you get our emails, if anything you're not happy about, again, just feel free to reach out, And now this feels like a town hall meeting for my team. But you are part of my family. I really, really, really respect you for what you do. So thank you again. And feel free to put comments. Again, we watch these comments even on replay. If you watch this on replay, put something on the comments, and we'll be able to track it down and answer those questions. Again, if you need any of the books, let me know and I'll get that to you. Thank you again. God bless you and have a happy new year.
Welcome back to the Leadership Momentum Sprint. I'm Isaac Wambua, and today we're building one more piece of your leadership foundation. Every day is another step toward clarity, confidence, and unstoppable momentum. Let's jump in.